Morning, this is Brian. Today is Saturday, March 12th, 2022. I'm in the Angeles National Forest, right near Eaton Saddle. Eaton Saddle's pretty packed because it's already after 8 o'clock in the morning. It was hard for me to get going super early this morning, but I definitely did not want to miss coming out and start another no hike streak. I mean, I did go out last Sunday. I want to go out again and get some fresh air. Well, Eaton Saddle's just that parking area just over behind those pines. It's where the historic Mount Lowe road winds its way around. You can hit a lot of the really prominent Front Range peaks from here, like San Gabriel Peak, Mount Markham, Mount Lowe. You could even do a rough cross-country traverse to Occidental Peak like I tried back in 2019, which ended up in failure. Could do that if you have some pretty good scrambling skills and really good cross-country skills. If you can make it to Occidental Peak, you can even make it to Mount Wilson if you wanted to do it without doing the Sierra Madre Gauntlet or the Chantry Flat Gauntlet hikes that require a crap load of elevation gain. You can go up to Mount Disappointment, you can go to Mount Deception, you can hook up with a lot of the Front Range peaks here in the San Gabriels. I'm going to try to see how many I can hit today. I'm definitely in a peak climbing mood. That mood has come back. So we'll see. I'm gonna just make sure everything's good to go. You can see where the bobcat fire burnt all up in here. That bobcat fire definitely hit this area pretty hard. Let's see. Yeah, I get some good views from here too. You get Waterman, Twin Peaks, Mount San Antonio, Ontario Peak. So, alright, well, let's start on heading towards Eaton Saddle. So, yeah, luckily there's a wide enough space over here to park. So Eaton Saddle was completely packed. Kind of expected it, to be honest with you, after the relatively late start I got this morning. And sitting in traffic. Sitting in some traffic on Interstate 5 for a while. That definitely had an impact on me getting here earlier. But I'm going to start heading towards Eaton Saddle. I'm going to start off by banking right on the Mount Lowe road. People are starting to leave the trail now. I'm not going to bother getting back in my car. It's not that much of a walk, actually. Just off there anyways. That's why it's time to get here early. Yeah, well, this is a very popular area. I understand what he was speaking on. So, here we are. The old Mount Lowe Railway. Good old Eaton saddle. So, here's Mount Markham. This mountain looks so different from every angle. Right here, kind of looks like the Matterhorn. From other angles, it's kind of a long ridge. And that's where San Gabriel Peak is, up on top of that. So, let's see. Wondering how many peaks I'm going to hit today. We'll see how much energy I have. At the very least, I would like to do at least San Gabriel and Markham. I mean, San Gabriel and at least Disappointment. Some nice views over here. Very nice views. See what kind of energy I have today. See how many peaks I hit. At least San Gabriel. And probably Disappointment. But I would like to potentially hit some more. Alright. Well, I'll keep updating you along the trail. Let's see what happens. Well, it's the old Mueller Tunnel. Used to bypass the little cliffside trail. So what happens is people used to hike along this. Very sketchy. Very, very sketchy. Used to hike along it. You see little poles on the side of the trail. Must have been a guardrail back in the day. Very sketchy. Now you just go, basically go inside San Gabriel Peak. Hike through this really quickly. Got to shave all day. This is probably one of the few spots of shade we'll have all day today. It's nice and cool in here now. warm weather. Probably gonna be seeing a lot of lizards today. Should be a pretty interesting day. Wondering if might even see snakes. With the exception of a few days here and there. It's been pretty warm. And it's about to get a lot hotter. Long-range outlooks are showing very warm to hot weather affecting us most of the rest of the month, with maybe a couple respite days here and there, perhaps. Pretty trail, I'll tell you that. Especially when you get here to the Big Cone Douglas firs. Sagebrush lizard, I think that was a sagebrush or female side blotched. Very nice lush California bay laurel right here. Very nice thicket of it right here. You see, it's got a huge root base in there. It's got some large trunks too. Wow. It's not a very tall tree, but boy, it's got a humongous root burrow. All this, it's all part of its root burrow. Right there. Very large trunks on this tree. A beautiful, beautiful California laurel. This is Umbellaria californica. Check out my spotlight video I did in the San Gabriels on this tree that's fairly common in spots here in lower to mid-elevation Southern California. I estimate we're about 5,200 feet above sea level here. Eaton Saddle is barely at 5,100 feet, but we're starting to get closer to the higher elevations of this plant. I do sometimes see it above 5,000 feet, like here. But it's generally more common below. I've read somewhere you could find it up to about 6,500 feet, but I have yet to see it above 6,000 feet yet. So when I do, of course, I'll shoot video of it. Definitely make a note of that. So I'm just going to keep hiking along this. Maybe get some quick footage of this little big cone stand right here. Big Cone Douglas fir will be most common conifer you'll encounter on any hike from Eaton Saddle. Though you will also find some coulter pines and even a few sugar pines near San Gabriel Peak, Mount Disappointment. You'll find some there too. But for the most part, this hike's going to be exposed in the recovering chaparral and recovering canyon live oak woodland. But you get some nice specimens in here of Pseudotsuga macrocarpa, our beautiful big cone Douglas fir. That's looking towards Occidental, Mount Wilson, Mount Harvard. So basically, here at one of the junctions already. Doesn't take much time to get here, actually. So when you get to this water tower, this metal post, your options open up quite a bit. I've actually only been here once. I did Mount Lowe and Mount Markham. First time I came here, I made the mistake of following this. Starts out as a use trail. I only filmed it before, but lost the footage. It was a few years ago. Started hiking along this, what looked like a use trail. Then it turned into a really sketchy, slippery cross-country walk. I was thinking maybe I can get to Mount Markham this way, because it's up there. But it didn't look feasible after about 10 minutes of walking. However, get over here, this is where some of your options open up. Take this trail here, then it becomes a single track. He'll take that to Mount Lowe. You take that to Mount Lowe, and probably some peaks, some points beyond it. You probably hit some of the other lower Front Range peaks. Mount Lowe stands at 5603 in elevation. So that's Mount Lowe. This is the Mount Lowe Fire Road. It'll go its way down, probably take you to some of the same spots. I know the Mount Lowe Trail kind of follows just above it for a while. And then, that's back to Eaton Saddle, of course. This is where I'm going to go now. Is I'm going to turn here, make the hard right, and this will take me towards the saddle between Mount Disappointment and San Gabriel Peak. There's a giant canyon live oak that got uprooted. Wow. I've been to San Gabriel Peak and Mount Disappointment before, but I've been to San Gabriel once, Disappointment twice. I did San Gabriel and Mount Disappointment. I did them together the first time. I did it from a small parking area where you take the Bill Riley Trail and take you from about 4,750 feet up to, you can either take the road to Mount Disappointment or you could take the trail. I took the Bill Riley Trail the first time to Mount Disappointment and San Gabriel Peak. That was a little bit longer hike than this. A little more elevation gain because you're starting at 4750. So then the next time I did next time I did Mount Disappointment, I did it with Mount Deception and followed the paved Mount Disappointment road. Went up to Mount Deception, then backtracked to go up to Mount Disappointment. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut it off now. Just gonna keep hiking and hiking, and we'll see what happens next. Hello, this is Brian again. Welcome to clip number 3. So I'm a little ways up, not super far up. See, I've come up a good few hundred feet already. Yeah, this trail, once you start getting on the San Gabriel Peak trail, wasted no time. So I just came around that bend. Just gonna switch back and went up that way. Just noticed, looks like there's a use trail over here. I wonder if this is one of the use trails to get up to Mount Markham. But it looks like this would be a much more technical route. There's looks like a lot of rock scrambling and maybe even rock climbing if you were more of a mountaineer. So when you go up to the switchback over here, you'll see what looks like a possible use trail heading towards Mount Markham. I was almost tempted to follow it, but it looks like to get up to the ridge, it looks like you're going to have to do probably some really nasty bushwhacking and probably poodle dog bush and some rock scrambling, perhaps even rock climbing. I don't even know how far the trail actually goes, but it looks like a start of a use trail. Could be worth exploring one day. Like I said, though, I imagine that use trail would probably go to the base and probably go along this really extremely rocky ridge where class 3 and class 3, at least class 3, sustained class 3 climbing would probably be required if one were to do that. I'm pretty sure people have. There are people who like to get up on those challenges. But yeah, it looks like it would be kind of like a mountaineer's route. Maybe reminiscent of Strawberry Peak. Strawberry Peak's West Ridge. Probably be something similar to that. Yeah, definitely. It looks like it would be class 3, almost pretty much the whole way up, I would imagine. Imagine we're probably about 5,500 feet by now. Mount Markham is like 5,740, I believe. And today, this is the highest elevation I've ever seen black sage. We've got to be above 55 by now. 5,500 feet. We still got black sage. Though it's much smaller than it is in its lower elevation habitats, where they can get much larger than that. There's an old big cone snag here. Now, when I was driving up here, I noticed when I went past Eaton Saddle the first time, thinking I was going to have to turn around and find somewhere else to go because of the parking situation, saw a little bit of snow on the side of the road above Eaton Saddle. So I'm wondering if snow is going to be an issue on the upper portions of the San Gabriel Peak Trail. It's kind of weird. I didn't expect that. I didn't think this area would have gotten any. But it's kind of interesting. Oh well. I'll basically see you at the saddle, unless some other interesting stuff pops up. And I'm talking about the saddle between Disappointment and San Gabriel Peaks. Hello, this is Brian again. Welcome to our next clip. Well, we're at a junction. So, came up from that way. This hard ride right here, that'll take you to San Gabriel Peak. This will take you to Mount Disappointment Road, where you can access the summit of Mount Disappointment. And then further down the road, you can access a use trail to Mount Deception. Let's see, which way do I want to go first? I was tempted to make San Gabriel Peak my first stop of the day. I might go for it. I'm trying to think about it. I think what I want to do is take a little rest and get something to drink so I don't get dehydrated. Now, I did the recommended hydration technique, whereby I went, and as soon as I parked and got my backpack ready, I took a water bottle that I wasn't going to pack in my pack, and I already drank it. So I already drank a water bottle, but also brought 2 Body Armor electrolyte drinks. One of them's frozen. That'll probably be later on during this adventure. And then I have one that was in the refrigerator, and I packed in with my ice cold stuff so it'll stay cold. So I'm going to go for that one about now. Kind of hard to see here, but we got Mount Lawler, Strawberry Peak. I can see all the way. I think that's Granite, or is that Mount? I thought it was Mount Gleason, way over there. So I'm gonna take a little hydration break, and I'm gonna decide whether I'm gonna go for Mount Disappointment first, potentially Mount Disappointment and or Mount Deception, or am I gonna go for San Gabriel Peak first? Decisions. We're already above Mount Lowe. Mount Lowe is just barely at 5,600 feet. We're close to the level of Mount Markham, so we're about 5,700 feet right now. So I got about 450, 460 feet of elevation gain on the San Gabriel Peak trail to get to San Gabriel Peak, and I have about maybe 250 or so ish to get to Mount Disappointment. And remember, though, when I did the San Gabriel Peak trail, it gets pretty steep after this, so after this point you're gonna want to catch your breath. This trail here is pretty moderate. It's not extremely steep, but there are some spots where you'll huff and puff a little. I've never gone up this way before. Like I said, I did San Gabriel Peak all the way from the one parking area above Red Box. And that was a little bit longer of a hike. Not a super long hike either, but considerably more elevation gain. But yes, I'm gonna take a break, get something to drink, and then decide which peak's going to be first on my visitation agenda. So, if energy permits, I might even try to go for Mount Lowe and maybe Mount Markham later. I don't know. I can't say right now what the energy level will be. I've been really fatigued at work lately. The last couple of days I've been, like, I'll get home from work and I'll lay down and I'll even doze off for a while. So I've been really tired lately. It's just been an exhausting week. But, alright, well, so let's see. So once again, you can go this way to get to Mount Disappointment and Mount Deception, this way to San Gabriel Peak, or you can, later on you can return to the Mount Lowe junction where I pointed out in one of my previous clips, where you just follow the Mount Lowe trail. You can follow it up to a saddle. There's a saddle right there between Mount Markham and Mount Lowe, and in the saddle you just take the regular Mount Lowe trail, kind of does a couple switchbacks, get you up to the summit, or you could take the very faint but very followable use trail and go along the ridge to get up to Mount Markham, which requires some class 2 scrambling and some very steep terrain in spots, but I did that once back in 2018 and thought it was a really neat hike. So I'll see you on my next clip, and I'll let you know where I'm heading. Hello, this is Brian again. Welcome to the next clip. So, I'm about 6,000 feet now, so I'm getting pretty close. Because I measured my level with Mount Disappointment, which is 5,963 feet, and I can see the roofs of the buildings, so I'm higher. And one little patch of sugar pine that survived the station fire 2009. So we do have some sugar pines up here mixing in. So I am getting close. Getting close to San Gabriel Peak. One little patch of ice there, so just be careful. I thought it would all been melted by now, but maybe not. I guess not. Starting to get some backcountry views opening up. Mount Lawler in the foreground, Barley Flats, Pacifico, Granite, Gleason, Waterman Mountain, Pleasant View Ridge. Twin Peaks is behind the Canyon Live Oak. So yeah, little sugar pine seedling. I'm a little more tired than usual today. Been a little slow today, but whatever. It's all good. So a little bit to go, not much. It's the first time this year, 2022, that I've been above 6,000 feet. I think, yeah. First time in 2022. So it's been quite a while. Yeah. Never did San Gabriel Mountain like I wanted to. But we're getting to this time of year where it's going to be really hot at the base of it. A week from tomorrow, it'll be spring equinox. So, moving towards the hotter time of year already. My final push is coming up. This last part is steep. Oh boy. Catch my breath for a minute. An old big cone Douglas fir snag. Wonder if that's scrub jay. Yeah. Last time I was here was just over 7 years ago, March 7th, 2015. Oh boy. Whew. Here it is, San Gabriel Peak, 6,161 feet. Hello. How are you? Good. Pretty good. How you doing? Well, folks, San Gabriel Peak. 6,161. There's the benchmark.
Check them off the list. Yeah, I got to get the sign too.
You know it. This one says 6,164, but that's Strawberry Peak's elevation. We're just 3 feet short of that.
This one was drawn with a crayon, it looks like, so you want to maybe take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And here we are. It's like the summit register is probably in here. Or not, maybe not. No big deal. Finally, first time in 7 years up here. So, let's get the 360.
Welcome back.
Yeah, right? Exactly. First time I went up the Bill Riley Trail just above Red Box. That was the first time, and I did Disappointment and came up here. This time I just did it from Eaton Saddle.
Yeah, me too. How was the other trail? I know it's been a while.
A lot shadier.
Okay.
A lot shadier until you get to the saddle.
Okay.
Then it's full bake. So here we got Pacifico, Grand Mountain, way off of Gleason. And we got Mount Lukens down there. We got Sandstone Peak, the highest point in the Santa Monica's. And we got the Verdugos, Mount Lowe, Mount Markham, Santiago Peak, Palomar Mountain. I believe I could see Toro Peak from here. Trying to see if I can see Cuyamaca. No, it must be blocked off by some of the other peninsular ranges. Then we got the San Jacinto Range, San Bernardino's, Mount San Antonio, aka Baldy, True Peak, Twin Peaks, and Waterman Mountain. So, my first peak of the day. Next up will either be Deception or Disappointment, and I'm not going to film until at least I get back to the saddle, so I'll see you on my next clip. Hello, this is Brian again. Now I'm near, I believe this was the Nike missile site, I think. I don't know if it was here or on the top. A lot of people think this is a helipad, but as far as I know, this isn't. So, that's where I was, San Gabriel Peak. That's my next stop. I'm gonna hit Mount Disappointment next before I hit any other peaks. I already felt my legs starting to get a little tired when I did that last uphill push from the junctions of the trails up to here, so I don't know if I'm already starting to feel the wear down or for the day or not. Hope not. I want to get at least a couple more peaks in. Well, I should be able to get to Mount Disappointment. Probably be a little slow trudging because my legs already feel tired. I don't know why. There's beautiful San Gabriel Peak. So yeah, this area burnt. There used to be a lot of poodle dog bush over here, but a lot of it has disintegrated away or been cleared, I don't know. So we're going to be heading towards the service road that's going to lead up to Mount Disappointment. It'll be my third time up there. The last time was December 2018. And got some young knobcomb pines over here that blew up after the station fire. So we got a few knobcomb pines along Mount Disappointment Road. On the other side of the mountain, which this fork of the road will take you, there are quite a few knobcomb pines along the way. Of course, lots of coulter pines, and I think there was an occasional, I know there was an occasional sugar pine too. Not a whole lot, but going towards the top of Mount Disappointment, there were a couple of sugar pines, I think, on the back side of it. So this right here, if you take this road going this way, it'll take you around the backside of Disappointment, and eventually you'll come to an opening on the side of the paved road, and you'll see a trail, a little use trail to Mount Deception, which would likely be my third peak of the day. So now I'm just going to take the service road to the top of Mount Disappointment. All it's going to do is just curve around, go around the back side. Get a great view towards downtown LA. Here's Mount Lowe. We'll see if I have enough juice to get all the way over there. Well, I know once we go down the lower portion of the San Gabriel Peak Trail, it'll be relatively easy going. Then you're going to get to that saddle underneath it. Then it'll get a little steeper. You take a switch back to the top of it. Nothing insane. Nothing steeper than anything on the San Gabriel Peak trail, if at all. But it's relatively easy going, actually. Mount Lowe's a pretty easy peak to visit if you take it from Eaton Saddle. If you want to do it from the other side, it's a much longer and much more arduous hike from that direction. You're gaining thousands of feet and putting in a lot of work. So we're taking the upper service road to Mount Disappointment right now. So that might have been the Nike site. I don't know. Might have been something else. You see an old foundation there. And then up there should be an actual helipad or a flat concrete area where the benchmark is. And then radio towers near it. Well, I'm going to keep on climbing. All I have to do is just wind this around to the top. That's all I have to do. So I'll see you at Mount Disappointment. Hello, this is Brian again. Well, just about to make summit for Mount Disappointment. Just a sliver under 6K. Not gonna lie, the march up the service road, it's kind of tiring, not gonna lie. It's very short, but it always messes with me. I always have a hard time going up that. It's so steep. Very sun exposed too. So here we are, the summit complex of Mount Disappointment. And a beeping sound. Of course, we've got grape pines up here, planted decades ago. Beautiful Pinna sabiniana. You know me and grape pines. Love them. So, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. I apologize if that beeping sounds annoying, but I'll be walking a little away from it. So, this is it. Second of the day. Mount Disappointment. 5,963. Only painted over the benchmark. There's a benchmark for Mount Disappointment. So, alright. So this will be peak number 2 of the day. Usually San Gabriel and Disappointment are 2 relatively easy peaks to get to together in a single hike, regardless if you come up the Bill Riley Trail or where I came from today, Eaton Saddle. So that is the Mount Disappointment road that eventually hooks up with Mount Wilson Road at 4,750 feet. Right about there is where you can pick up a use trail and take it there to Mount Deception. I'm still debating whether I want to go for it. I might, or I might just head towards Mount Lowe. So, let's see if we can get some views up here. So, 360 will have to go around the mountain for it. Mount Lawler, Strawberry Peak, Mount Gleason, Josephine, Deception, Lukens. That's out towards Fraser Mountain and Mount Pinos, way out there. Then we got Sandstone Peak in the Santa Monicas. Santa Ana Mountains, Santiago Peak, the highest point of that. Then we got Santa Catalina Island. And it's out towards Long Beach, downtown, of course. Those lower mountains, the Verdugos. And San Gabriel, where I was a little while ago. And there's the highest high country. San Antonio, Dawson and Pine, Troop Peak. So you kind of have to look around the mountain to get the views, but kind of get the point. Move around a little bit, get some pretty nice views. And here's the old helipad, I believe. I guess that's D for disappointment. Again, I've never been disappointed coming up here. And I'm sorry if that sounds like a pun, and a pretty bad one at that, but I do like it up here. Now I just need to go find a shady little spot to sit down and get something to drink before I make my next move. I'm not sure, like I said, I'm not sure if I'm going to be going for Mount Deception or not. I might omit that one and instead maybe head for the Mount Lowe area. Maybe. I'm gonna have to sit and think about that for a few minutes, depending on how many peaks I want to climb today. But I'm thinking at least 3, possibly 4. So kind of have to see how this goes. But it is a pretty neat hike to get up to Deception, and you go over some humps to get up there. So you'll think you're there, you're really not. Believe me, I've been up to Mount Deception once before. And like I said, you'll think you're there, and then you'll see a little dip and then a higher hill in front of you once you get to that hill. Once you get to the hill, dip, and another hill ahead that's higher. So that's probably why it's called Mount Deception. I don't know if that's an official name for it, like Mount Disappointment is an official name, San Gabriel Peak, Mount San Antonio, or Mount Baldy. It could have been named by local peak baggers. I know there's a really sharp little peaklet near here that doesn't have an official name, but people on Peak Bagger call it Desolation Pinnacle. They call it. And you think you have to go down a gully from the side of Mount Disappointment Road and then climb up at Class 2 up a little gully or something. Never tried it. Ooh. Pines are smelling good right now. I think I'm gonna try to find a shady place to sit, get something to drink, and then ponder my next move. So I'll see you on the next clip. Hello, this is Brian again. Welcome to the next clip of my front range extravaganza, I guess if you want to call it that. I've left Mount Disappointment. Now I'm on my way back down towards that foundation site. I'm sorry if it's a little windy in the camera. There's a nice breeze right now, and it feels really good. It feels very good right now. The weather's nice today. The sun's a little warm, but for the most part, it's very comfortable weather. It's just when you're on the light color of the trail, the sun reflects off the light colored trail surface and bops you right in the face. So it does get a little hot sometimes, but I'm just about back near the foundation area and closing in on the San Gabriel Peak Trail junction very soon. So I was thinking to myself, do I really want to go all the way down a good few hundred to several hundred feet to the base of Mount Deception, climb up that really steep, loose use trail, go back down, and then climb another probably 400 feet along the this hot sunny paved road to get back to here, and then try to go out towards Mount Lowe. So I'm deciding that I'm not gonna go for Mount Deception today. I'm gonna leave that one alone. So otherwise I would follow this downhill for probably about, I think, about a mile or so, and then right where the road nears the edge of the hill, you'll see an opening. There was a little tiny sign that said Mount Deception, and then you just pick up the use trail heading along that. So I'm not gonna go for Deception because it's gonna become a logistical pain in the butt. Doable, very doable if you have enough energy, but not quite sure if I have enough energy for that. So we get back on here, San Gabriel Peak Trail. Got some sugar pines and big cone Douglas firs mixing in here too. Very nice. So here's the trail again. If you were coming up from the Bill Riley Trail, you'd be coming up from the road a little bit that way, short distance that way. So the Bill Riley Trail comes up.
I don't have time. Yeah?
If we'd done that, though, we wouldn't have been able to bring back 2 suitcases of chips.
I know, right? Yep. Yeah.
Those chips you always bought.
Best tortilla chips I've ever had, and I haven't found anything like that.
Alright. Here we go. Some people go to Mount Disappointment. Now, I'm about to hit the trail junction. Whew. Yeah, that light colored soil reflects the sun, so my face is warm. Because I'm looking down at towards my feet quite a bit, obviously, so I don't trip on anything. So, again, I'm going up to San Gabriel Peak from Mount Disappointment, and this is going to take me back to the junction of trails. So I'm going to be heading towards that trail junction. So yes, I'm going to omit the chance to go to Mount Deception today. I'm going to head for at least Mount Lowe. At least, like I said, at least get 3 peaks out of the day today. Maybe Mount Markham, possibly. I know that's going to be a sweaty climb, but we want to get at least 3 peaks in today. Getting at Mount Lowe should be pretty easy. In fact, it's going to be quite a bit of downhill from here. It's going to be going downhill for quite a while, actually. And then get to that saddle, and a very gentle gradient for the most part. Until you get closer to Mount Lowe, then it steepens up a little bit, but it's nothing insane. So we'll see how that goes. So I'm going to go ahead and put it up for now, unless I see anything that I need to point out or feel like I want to point out before I get to the junction of trails. I'm going to go ahead and just follow this. All I got to do is just follow this back to that junction right by the water tower that you saw in one of my earlier clips, and where you saw that trail sign. So enjoy the views. That's Mount Lowe right over there again, and there's Mount Markham. Like I said, you saw in the first clip, Mount Markham looked like a sharp, pointy Matterhorn peak, and you look at it from this angle, it looks like a long, gentle ridge. It's a peak of many faces. So might possibly be going for Markham. We'll most likely be going for Lowe. So I'll see you on my next clip. Hello, this is Brian again. So just came back to the trail junction. Took a decent water break. So just took a nice snack break back at the junction of trails. So now I'm on the Mount Lowe trail. I think it's the Mount Lowe East Trail, I think it is. We had a hiker taking a break at the junction. Yeah, I got sunscreen on today. Finally remember to put the sunscreen on. So met this hiker. He's hiking all the way up to Mount Lowe from Altadena. I was telling you there was a much longer, much more arduous way to get up there. So he was hiking up this fire road, probably all the way down from Altadena, or all the way up from Altadena. So kudos to the guy getting out and really stretching his legs. So about a mile to Mount Lowe. Deciding whether I'm going to still include Mount Markham. I don't know if I'm going to want to carry this heavy backpack with me. Might have to put a water bottle in my one of my pants pockets. Rearrange some stuff so that I don't end up losing my water bottle. Probably just take one unused water bottle up to Mount Markham, because there's gonna be some scrambling along that ridge. I don't know if you remember in a little clip earlier, I had mentioned a little unofficial peak called Desolation Pinnacle. Well, that's the one I was talking about right there. Well, let me get this up here. But yeah, that's the unofficial name of that one right there. It's Desolation Pinnacle, Mount Disappointment. Of course, San Gabriel Peak. But yeah, that little pointy summit right there. I think it was it Keith Winston, one of the major players on Peak Bagger, or somebody he knows called it that. Because the letter D goes with deception, disappointment. It's supposed to be a nifty little scramble to get up there, too. From what I've heard, it's class 2. Kind of looks like it'd be a little more than that, but that's what I remember reading. There's a class 2 way to get up there, but you have to go down a gully on the side of Mount Disappointment and then hook up and scramble up the side of the hill. Tempted to do that one day, but you have to drop a little ways in the gully before you start climbing up Desolation Pinnacle. Make a pretty neat little adventure next time I'm in the Mount Disappointment area. Meaning, yes, next time in the Mount Disappointment area, because I'm not going back that way. Some nice views. I don't remember if this is Bear or Eaton Canyon. I think this is Eaton Canyon. There's a Bear Canyon in this area, and there's, of course, an Eaton Canyon. One thing you'll like about this trail here is it's very, very mellow. Remember, this stretch is very mellow. We're not that far above the road. It's only a few hundred feet of elevation gain to get to Mount Lowe, and about 150 more to get up to Mount Markham in addition. So it looks like we got small leaf cream bush here. Holodiscus discolor variety microphyllus, I think is what that is. I think it's probably a small leaf version. I'm used to seeing those higher up in elevation, but they are a little above 5K, maybe about 53-ish, 5,300-ish, I believe. Here's a species of alum root. The genus, I'm not even sure how you really pronounce it. Heuchera, Heuchera maybe. It's a type of alum root. I know there are some cultivated species of these that get huge, have big leaves, but most of our native ones here have really small leaves, and they send up these little, pretty little, tiny little flowers in the springtime in these clusters. And they're in the Saxifragaceae, the saxifrage family. I'm not sure what species this is, to be honest with you. I know there are at least a couple species here in the San Gabriels. At least 2, I think. But it looks like these alum roots form a woody base. They're usually just kind of sprawled out where the rocks are, especially on the shady sides of the rocks. It looked like there was a stem that came loose or something. It looks like it's kind of woody-ish. So So yeah, I mean, this trail is pretty mellow. Actually, we're at a very slight downhill grade right now. Very slight. We're going to get to the Markham Lowe saddle, and then it'll steepen up a bit. Nothing insane. To get to Mount Lowe. Now Markham is going to be more of a use trail / fire break, which will be very steep and at least class 2. I'm never using my hands for balance. So we're basically rounding the flanks of Mount Markham right now, actually. Well, unless something pops up that I think needs to be filmed, I'm just going to keep rounding the sides, and I'll basically see you at the saddle for my next plan of action. Hello, this is Brian again, nearing the saddle right now between Mount Lowe and Mount Markham. I think I hear people scrambling up Mount Markham right now. There's the Mount Lowe Road. Much obliged.
Oh, of course.
Appreciate it.
No problem.
Alright. Here's the saddle. Mount Lowe going that way. Mount Markham going this way. So, I think I'm going to go for Mount Markham first. This will be my hat trick. In other words, third climb of the day. Trail getting to the saddle. It's very easy. Very, very easy. Now, we're going to hit the use trail. Just when you get down there, turn left to go up. Oh, lights keeps getting all blurry. Kept doing it the other day too. My last hike. I apologize if I have to keep wiping the camera. Yeah. So it starts off pretty innocuously. You see over there, there's a big climb ahead. Key to this is taking your sweet old time. Just brush it, because you're going to hit some steep sections along this ridge. Obviously, not steep is coming up from the other side. Showed you that junction. That was no joke. So, take my time. It's not a very long trail. Once you get up to that point there, most of your elevation is done. Of course, you have to walk a little bit closer to the farther side of the ridge to actually get to the high point. But once you're up there, it's a lot easier going. But meanwhile, we gotta just take our time and use our hands and feet at times. I'll see you at that section. See you on the next clip. Well, about to start hitting the steep section really soon. About ready to hit the class 2 very soon. There's Mount Lowe Trail. There's Mount Lowe. Alright, here comes the fun part. Actually, the first of a couple of them. Mount Deception right there. And my camera's all foggy again. Apologize for that. Alright, here we go. There's actually quite a few people on the mountain today. A bunch of people coming down too, from the higher ramparts of the mountain. See, a whole bunch of people who are just on it. Okay. That was easy, that part. The really tough part is that spot over there. People going down from there. So that's where the real sketchy part is. This part's steep coming up, but not nearly as bad as that section. It's going to be a tough class too. I'm going to take a break over here. Wait till the group comes by. I still got plenty of daylight, so I ain't worried about that. Alright. Here we go. It's going to be slow going pretty soon. At least I can see what the people are hiking. where the route goes around the ridge there. I think this is pretty scenic up here. Pretty nice looking up here. Alright. This is where it starts getting steep, folks. See a San Gabriel Peak trail going along the side there. So right now we're still basically in Class 1 territory, but it will become tricky Class 2 at times once we get over towards that hill there. This hill's just going to be just steep, maybe some brief hand balance. I think that's Henninger Flats down there. It's supposed to have a really neat conifer plantation there. I could see them from here. Well, onward and upward. I'm gonna kind of stop filming since this is a handheld camera, at least for now. I'll either see you just before or when I get to the summit. I'm gonna definitely need to focus. It's gonna get steeper and steeper as I go along. So I'll see you on the next clip. Hello, this is Brian again. I'm most of the way up. Got past that real steep spot without any issues. So now I'm nearing the summit. It's going to be further along the ridge. It's not going to be over here. Kind of have to go a little ways. But hardest part is done, at least on the ascent. Going down, that's going to be sketchy as heck. So, yeah. Alright. Well, that's a really steep climb. Steeper than I've done in a while. But I've been up here once before. walking along a relatively mildly flat ridge for the rest of the way to the summit. Like I said, you kind of gotta go towards the further part to get to the summit, the actual high point area. You know, it's not much different in elevation than where we are now. It's just a few feet higher, but you know, we like to make it official, us peak hikers. So, just about to summit Mount Markham pretty soon. Feels much better to be walking on relatively level ground. It was pretty tough coming up. It's pretty tough coming up here, especially after hitting 2 other peaks before coming up here. So we're right by the actual summit area right now. I think we just got a little more moseying around to do to actually get to it. We're about to come up to it right momentarily. Okay, here we are, Mount Markham. I believe the elevation is 5,742, I think. I've also heard 5,728. Well, height point would actually be right by that bush there, I think. So this is my second time up here. Remember this rock circle. And, alright, let's go look at some views. Alright. I want to put my backpack down though. I don't know if there's a summit register up here or not. I'm not sure. I ain't even tripping. I ain't even worried about that. It starts going downhill from here, so it's basically this stretch here from here to the start of those partially burnt bushes. Basically your summit. So this is it. Again, Mount Markham. So let's get some views. Well, the ridge is kind of flat here, so a lot of these rocks and bushes will take some of the view out towards the southwest ish. You can just walk around a little bit and probably get the views that you missed from over here. And we got by the Pacific Ocean, southern Orange County, way out there. Well, more so out that way. San Gabriel Peak and the Santa Ana Mountains, way off in the haze above Mount Harvard here. Just a little bit above it, slightly to the right, is Palomar Mountain. Trying to see if I can see Cuyamaca. I don't think I can see it from here. Of course, again, Mount Harvard, Mount Wilson, Occidental Peak, and looking over towards above Occidental. Won't see it too much on the camera, but you can see the San Bernardino Mountains high country, San Bernardino Peak Divide and everything. Ontario Peak, Mount San Antonio, Dawson and Pine. It's looking over towards Troop Peak over there, Twin Peaks, Waterman Mountain. And you can see Pleasant View Ridge off there. That's the part of the ridge of Mount Gleason. San Gabriel Peak. Mount Disappointment. Desolation Pinnacle. Mount Deception. Looking over towards Ventura County, the Mount Pinos and Fraser Mountain area. Out towards some of Ventura County's higher mountains in the Los Padres, 6,000 plus foot peaks. Of course, Mount Lukens, the Verdugo Mountains in the 134 freeway, Sandstone Peak, the highest point in the Santa Monicas, which is actually technically in Ventura County. And then San Fernando Valley area. So, you know where to look, you'll find views, believe me. So, I'm probably just going to spend a few minutes up here, maybe start another water maybe, and I'm going to start heading back down to the Markham Lowe saddle, and then start hiking up Mount Lowe. See you on the next clip. I'm probably not going to film any more here on Mount Markham, but you get the idea. Pretty scenic up here. A little bit of a challenge getting up. Imagine it's much more of a challenge coming from this side. Looks a lot rockier. But I'll see you on my next clip. Time to get some pictures. Hello, this is Brian again. Well, I just got done from taking a break here on this rock. Got down from Mount Lowe about 6-10 minutes ago. Sat down, some hydration in me. Now comes the last part of the day. Believe it or not, when I was coming down from Mount Markham, there, I was almost getting really tempted to nix Mount Lowe, but I'm ready here, so I may as well crawl my way up there, I guess. Not gonna lie, I'm getting pretty tired. I'll be, assuming I make it up there, I probably will, not too worried about it. That'll be my fourth peak of the day. Wait for everybody to pass first. Get some views over here. A lot of people today. Wow. It's a sunny, mild day. Mild weekend day, so that's to be expected. Alright, so while this is not a strenuous trail to get there, I'm going to be feeling every inch of uphill especially after all the ups and downs today. Making it to 3 other peaks, so expecting I'm going to be pretty slow, especially for the rest of the uphills. But once I get up to Mount Lowe, it's basically all downhill. So go ahead and do this. Get to my 4th summit of the day. Then start heading back the 1 3/4 miles back to Eaton Saddle. Alright, so I was looking at the canyon over there. I think that's Bear Canyon over there. Pretty sure it's Bear. I believe this should be Eaton Canyon over here. Leads up to Eaton Saddle. So that should be Eaton Canyon down there. Alright. So here comes the last march of the day. Not gonna lie, I'm gonna feel every step of this one. Normally, this is a pretty easy hike. But after going up and over some peaks, especially a couple of steep ones, like San Gabriel, especially San Gabriel and especially Mount Markham, you get kind of tired after a while. Well, I'm gonna let it go for now. Have to change my battery soon. I'll see you probably up at Mount Lowe. See you on the top or near it. I guess I'll do one more clip before I get to the top. Remember, you're going to Mount Lowe. So the trail comes up to this junction. Make sure you turn hard right, and this will be the spur to get you up to the top. This will take you down and down. The tree actually grew around this old metal sign. Well, there's the Lowe Markham saddle right there. And you can see the ridgeline you got to follow to get up to Mount Markham. Starts off, gets pretty steep, goes over a small hump, and it goes over a little mini bump, and then it goes up steep again, and then it goes real steep, and then it starts flattening out as you get much higher up, and then it's just a ridgeline walk. The only caveat is just watching where you step because of rocks all over the ground. That's the only caveat. So you just got to make sure. I always get a runny nose when I go hiking. I don't know why. I think it would be the cooler weather, but it's only a little on the cool side today. So just remember, when you come back to where that little old sign is, and that big metal sign half grown around by the tree. Just make sure you take that hard left, you follow it all the way down to where it meets the Mount Lowe Road, and you just go from there. Get back on the Mount Lowe Railway Road, or the old fire road. Go through the Mueller Tunnel. It'll let you out right by Eaton Saddle, right where you parked. So just remember, it's almost not going to bother filming over here, but I figured there might be people who are new to hiking in this area. So anybody who watching this who might be new should be aware of turns and junctions. So I feel that it's important for me to film segments around major junctions and intersections, because yes, I like this to be entertaining and interesting, but also want my hiking videos to be helpful, at least helpful in if anybody wanted to do the hike I did, do the four peak hike today, would know, okay, this is a trail junction, this is a trailhead. Okay, this is where I need to park, or the area near where I need to park. This is the trailhead. This is the junction to here, to there. I do find it pretty important that I take the time and also point those things out to also make my videos, try to make them as informative as possible to some people who might not be familiar with the area. Again, it's no substitute for common sense and studying maps beforehand to get yourself familiarized on screen or on paper what the area looks like. There's never really a good substitute for proper planning. That's what I say. I love to look at Google Earth and read topo maps, especially use the topo map on Peak Bagger. Because the Peak Bagger topo map, you can zoom in, zoom out. It'll show you where certain peaks are located, whether they're random peaks, unofficial peaks, or full-blown big ticket peaks. Anything from peak 5896 near Lowe to Santiago Peak in the San Dianas to San Gabriel Mountain in the San Bernardino Mountains. So you can always get a zoom in on where your peak is. Look at the elevation contour. That'll give you some indication of how steep the hike might be and how challenging, how long it might be, how much elevation gain you're going to be dealing with. So it's always good to familiarize yourself with a topo map, because those lines that go around everything are contours. And also be familiar with the intercontour interval. The contour interval is actually a better way to say it, because a lot of maps it'll be 20 feet, some maps it might be 100 feet, and some might be 200 feet, some of it might be 40 feet. You got darker lines, wider lines, and lighter, narrower lines. The darker lines are major elevation intervals, and the narrower, lighter ones are intermediate intervals. But to go from a light one to a light one is the same as going from a light one to a dark one, because it's the same interval. So the interval between wider, darker lines is going to be much more significant, because you're going to have all the little narrower, lighter colored contour lines in between them. But like I said, contour between dark lines will be significantly more than between light lines and between a light line and a dark line. But just rest assured, a contour interval between a light intermediate contour and, let's just say, the next contour is a dark one, a major one, it's still the same as if it were between a light and a light. So a lot of maps use 4D feet. A lot of maps use 4D feet contour intervals. But that's not always the case, so it's always good to know. So what you can do, if you're curious, is you can look at the interval between the darker contours. For instance, like you have a 2,000 foot contour and you have a 3,000 foot contour. What you could do is, you know that that is 1,000 feet elevation change. So if you're not sure what the intermediate lines are, just count how many intermediate lines there are between the 2,000 foot and 3,000 foot contour. Divide it by 1,000. So if you have 5 lines of contour between 2,000 and 3,000 feet, if you have 5 intermediate contours, you're going to have 1,000 divided by 5. So just think of it that way. And that'll give you 200 feet between each intermediate. But usually it's contour of 200, a large contour of 200, like 34, like for instance 22, 24, 26, 28, and 3,000. So you'll see dark contours for all those. But you'll have some lighter contours in between, like for instance between 2,000 feet and 2,200 feet, which is a 200 foot interval. If you have 5 of those, they're going to be in increments of 40 feet. So just be aware. It just takes a little bit of math if you're not too used to it. I'll see you at the top. Up, just about to summit Mount Lowe.
Yeah, if you were to go back down and then keep going down, and you go completely around the mountain and see this way, and then you'll see the sign. It's saying west point. It brings you up here. All right.
Hey, have a nice day.
Take care.
Oh boy. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Pretty good. Number 4 of the day.
4th peak?
Yeah, I did San Gabriel, Disappointment, Mount Markham. This will be my 4th.
Wow.
That's why I'm dragging my feet right now.
You started early.
Yeah, 8 o'clock-ish, 8:30.
That's cool.
Yeah, I take my time. Here we go. Just about to hit number 4. 4th peak of the day. Now, it's like a swing set and weird structure on top. Well, near the top. It's not actually the summit. Let's give you a little 411 on this. Summit is actually gonna be it's going to be up there. It's not actually going to be right where the structure, the swing set, and the little viewing tubes are you see on other videos. The actual high point is a little west of it. I think I prematurely jumped off. So, just gonna keep following the trail. Not gonna lie, like I told that gentleman, tired as heck. Nice little quick shady spot here. Alright. Whew. About there. All right. All right. The high point is actually off to the left. That's where all the swing sets are and stuff. Here's the summit. 5603 in elevation. Right where that female side blotch lizard is. Uda stansburiana elegans. Beautiful lizard. Actually, I think it's a male. This is it. Summit of Lowe. The actual high point. Technically in the bushes. As far as I go.
Railway. I told you.
Right, so you can do that.
Alright. So this is a popular hangout spot on top of Mount Lowe. We'll go up to one of the viewing tubes really quickly. It's a little busy over there. Disappointed. San Gabriel Peak. Not disappointed. Yes! Yeah, so this is my fourth of the day. San Gabriel, Disappointment, Markham, and this. Thanks.
Was disappointment disappointing?
No, it wasn't to me. It's the third time I've been up there, too. No disappointment for me. See you on the last clips. Hello, this is Brian again. Well, back on the Mount Lowe fire road. So, maybe about a half mile away from my car. It's pretty much smooth sailing the rest of the way to Eaton Saddle, which is down there. Beautiful big cone Douglas firs here. Absolutely stunning. Beautiful those trees are. Beautiful. Really nice ones here. There's even a sugar pine or two over there too. Yep, Pseudotsuga microcarpa. Here's towards San Gabriel Peak. So this will definitely wrap it up. I would say today, just kind of guessing, I haven't mapped it out. Guessing is probably between 5 to 6 miles. Just the round trip to San Gabriel Peak from Eaton Saddle is a roughly 3-mile hike. It's about a 3.2 or so to and from Mount Lowe. I'll have to shave off a little bit from that. Maybe about a half mile on the round trip from Mount Lowe. About 2.5, yeah, about 6.5. I think to Mount Disappointment was probably closer to a 4-mile hike. About a 4-mile hike roughly. So I had basically 2 out and backs. Kind of like a branching hike. I branched off of one direction. Did my thing over there by Mount Disappointment and San Gabriel Peak. And then on the way back to the junction of trails, then I did a 2.2 out and back to, well, it would only be 2.2 to get to Mount Lowe, but I added on probably 3/4 of a mile or so to Mount Markham. I think that's round trip. It's not super long distance, but it will slow you down because it's very steep. It's just smooth sailing back to the car, relatively speaking. A little rocky on the ground, but it's whatever. Would I say that this day was worth it? Oh yes. I gotta try to figure the elevation gain. The elevation gain to San Gabriel Peak alone is a little over about 1,050 feet. 1,050 feet. Roughly. Then there's an extra 200 or so, 200-ish to get to Mount Disappointment, because the saddle is about 5,700 feet. Then, I don't even remember the elevation of Lowe Markham Saddle, to be honest with you. I'd say overall, probably close to 1,800 to 2,000 feet of climbing today, roughly. Definitely worth it. Back to the tunnel. the old cliffside trail. Right around the side there. Very sketchy. This will do it for me. I'll see you on my next video. Thanks for watching. And I'll catch you on my next adventure. Enjoy.